Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a beer courtesy of Pariah. Thank you so much for still sending me beer. One of the consistent breweries has been sending me beer along with Hot Butcher. So this is refill material. If you guys are in my age bracket, you remember the plastic cups that had this design, beautiful design. If you see like people retroing with t-shirts and all that cool stuff with that brand, just love that kind of OG kind of thing going on. 90, yeah. Sister beer, a little sister beer of only 90s kids will get this double IPA. So they're referencing only 90s kids will get this. So I'm a 90s kid. Blah blah. Oh, I'm gonna get into it after 6% IPA. They talk about tasting notes. Let's just dig into this first. I got a good temperature. It does say, it's weird. I think they sent this from San Diego, but I will argue that it is ideal if you say where you're from, because they say brewed and canned in Baltimore, Maryland. So they opened a Maryland facility and San Diego. They don't say where specifically it came from, right? They don't say which brewery it came from. Which ideally, like, you would like to know. It would be nice to know, like canning wise, like where did it come from? Canned super fresh. This was sent to me real fresh. This is, well, actually, no. I got this like about a week ago. That's about a week ago. We're at the end of August, so 2 weeks. So literally it's a can day. It's like 3 weeks fresh. So beer is super hazy, medium bubble head, so not tight and fit. Full on opacity, like it's super milky hazy. See how this guy turns out. Yeah, it smells a little bit orangey. Like it's citra. It's like a lot of like kind of just like hot pellet, kind of like green action. Have a nice temperature. It has a sweet peachy mango thing that citrus sometimes does. It smells pretty good. Cheers. A little sweet kind of vanilla thing that I get from their beers along with Hot Butcher beers. Like there's something about the use of like wheat oat kind of thing with the expression of the esters and the hops. It just has that vanilla kind of character. Quite light, 6%. A little bit of chalkiness at the back end. Pretty nice. At 6%, I find these beers are a little bit more drinkable. They're a little bit more like watery, so it helps you refresh the fact that there is that kind of little bit of chalkiness on the back end, or a solid amount of chalkiness on the back end. A little bit of like hop drying quality on the back end. That polyphenol thing like dries it out quite nicely. I'd argue there's a little bit of bitterness here. It really drinks a little bit more like, I'd argue like a, somewhere between like New England Pale Ale and IPA, right? It's actually watery enough that I would guess this was a take on New England Pale Ale. I would have full blind guessed this guy's around 5.55, but it's really like 6. So right around there. Quite drinkable though. It's like quite nice. And compliment to it almost drinking like a pale ale, right? I will say the back end though is not ideal. A little bit of hop burn, a little bit of hop burn, but like with double IPAs, it's like a big, like sludgy beer, and like the hop burn's so much more intense. I assume that like with a 6% beer, they're not like hopping it as intensely, so you're not getting as much of the hop burning, hop like dry character. Flavor characteristics, get a little bit of like this kind of orange marmalade kind of thing going on, a little bit of fresh orange, a little bit of green character, a little bit of oat wheat, but like not too chunky, not too thick like double IPAs. Let's go with their tasting notes. So it's Citra up front with Apollo and Amarillo. Peach mango, ruby red grapefruit, mixed tropical fruit salad. I'd say they're a little ambitious on those fruit flavors. It does ride with a good amount of some hot flavors, but like a solid amount of also that like green dryness. And actually here it dries out quite nicely. Like it's quite aqueous and watery up front in a good way for like a New England style like pale ale. Car's pretty on point. I like a little bit of like blank slate on that kind of like doughy bird character, and then yeah, it's again, these beers analogize quite well with like what I consider like, you know, as I drink beer more, it's like these hazies like associate more and more to me like to with like Hefeweizen and Witbier. Like it's that kind of like malt base. Like you taste those same kind of malt characteristics, and then you get like fruity characteristics from the expressions of the German and Belgian examples. Here you're getting hops to exemplify those kind of like fruit characteristics, but they're pretty low, right? Like here, I wouldn't like sing like, oh my god, like this is, yeah. Again, for me, with a Hefeweizen, I would get so much banana, bubblegum, and like clove character. Here I actually get some of the fruit character, but it's actually predominant like green. You get so much like green hop matter on the nose. And then you're on the back end, you get green hop matter. But in the end, you get this sort of like nice base of like a wheat / oaty kind of like silky kind of beer. And some fruity characteristics, which again is in line with Witbier and Hefeweizen. But then here you get the IPA qualities of like that kind of bitterness and that hop polyphenol kind of thing, which is honestly not that bad. So if you want to do this kind of style beer, I'd argue that this is a little bit better example versus the ones who are just literally undrinkable, where you literally are drinking a blended glass of oat sweet and grass, like a glass of oat sweet and grass, like green grass. It's like so like green. A little bit strong here, but still pretty good. As for rating, I'm gonna go with a decent rating of a, that's fine, 90 flat. 90 flat. That's refill material. Solid, fantastic beer. It really shows that you can make beers with that kind of like thing. Again, I think that's the goal. Like I think people want that kind of flavor. Otherwise, like I have 9,000 breweries in this country. Like a solid amount of small ones are like at least 1,000 plus of them, right? Like, at least like way more. It's got to be way more, but at least 1,000 of the small breweries are doing this kind of style where they're just like producing hazies that are like polyphenol forward, a little bit chalky, just like ripping at that. And that's my like that's what I taste in modern New England IPAs these days. And but at least if you knock it down to 6% and you don't charge it so hard with like hop character, I guess, like, you know, and you actually get a pretty tasty beer, relatively tasty beer. So 90, good score, fantastic. I really like where this could be at versus like, again, if you push this higher in ABV, punch it with more hops, gets a little nasty. Cheers.